All right, let's go ahead and launch the Urus and see what happens. 3, 2, 1, go. The 2019 Lamborghini Urus. I cannot believe we are actually in one of these right now. One of the most exciting vehicles I think we have ever reviewed on this channel. We did do the 2020 Huracan, but this is also, I mean, maybe even cooler. And before we get into it, big thank you to Greenlight Auto for giving us this Urus to review. Check out the link in the description if you want to rent an absolutely awesome car from them. They have a sick collection. I'm sure you'll see more of their collection on this channel. And under this hood, of course, is the infamous twin-turbo V8. Now, I guess to start with, one thing that could have been better is a V10 SUV. How cool would that be? A V10 in an SUV. So it's a little bit upsetting they didn't do that, but still, this thing sounds, and oh man, you just wait. We're about to go for a drive. So this interior though is pretty nice. Starting with the back seats, I like this sort of tan kind of old school interior. This would probably be appealing to more of a gentleman. That's kind of the interior vibe that I get in here. Pretty plain center console, but you do get a screen in the back that allows you to control your climate, your heated seats. And back seats though, I was honestly expecting a little bit more from them. But in the front, this is where you want to be. Of course, you get the fighter jet style start stop button. You have your selectable drive modes. We're definitely going to be in Corsa for most of this time. And you have a dual screen setup in the front here. Now, this is a bit odd to use. Imagine a touchpad on a laptop. That's how hard you really have to press in order to get this thing going. Like most screens, it's nothing like a phone. You got to really press, but it's kind of satisfying. You get feedback from the screen, heated and cooled seats in the front, and a nice little infotainment system here as well. Now, there's some stuff we could go into. It's really not incredibly interesting. These are your selectable drive modes right here, but you have these very interesting sort of knobs, whatever you would even call this. So you actually control the drive modes through this thing right here. Very solid, good to use. And Corsa, you get that beautiful, beautiful display in your gauge cluster, and the exhaust gets so loud. I've actually never heard of, is it Navy? I'm not entirely sure what that is, but Strada is like basically comfort, sport is sport, and Corsa is the insane mode. Now here's where you're gonna be able to configure things individually. So your drivetrain, your steering feel, and your suspension, or you can just put everything in one singular setting. And to put this thing into drive, it's kind of strange. Well, the whole gear shifter thing is very strange. First of all, if you wanna put it in reverse, you pull this entire thing up. Kind of weird. Put it in park, you press this button right here. And to put it in drive, you push the paddle shifter. There is no drive button. Lamborghini is kind of strange with that. And by the way, when you're in Strada, you get to see your live horsepower and torque. And with that being said, let's go for a drive. All right, let's go ahead and launch the Urus and see what happens. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh my gosh. The claimed 0 to 60 is like 3.3 seconds, and I can 100% believe that. Wow. Very few cars actually make my heart like sink, but this one does. I mean, it feels like an actual roller coaster dropping. Unbelievable. All right, we got another opportunity for a launch here. Let's do a 0 to 60 test in the 2019 Lamborghini Urus. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Oh my gosh. So when you're in first gear and you're climbing up the RPMs, it really doesn't launch until about 4,000. But when you're at 4,000, that's when it absolutely rockets off. I'm assuming that's because it takes a little bit of time for those 2 turbos to build up along with that V8. Absolutely, absolutely incredible. And I gotta say, when you're just casually trying to come to a stop, you kind of gotta get used to the response of the brake pedal. I mean, that thing clamps on real fast and real quick. So it's maybe a bit more, well, it's as sensitive as you'd want a Lamborghini to be. But getting out of a regular car like me, and then getting in this thing, that just takes a minute or 20 to get used to that. And can we do another pull here? I believe we can. First gear in the Urus. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. That was absolutely perfect. Yep, 3 to 4,000 RPM and launching from there makes this thing an actual rocket ship. Yeah, so maybe you were also thinking they should have put a V10 in this thing, and I'm still standing by that. I think it would have just made it an even more exotic experience. But the twin turbo V8 still sounds phenomenal, and it still moves so fast. When you hear Lamborghini, you just don't think of a V8. You think of V10 or V12, so it's a little bit weird, and it's sad to see even an exotic car brand cutting off cylinders as time goes on. But at the end of the day, it's still as exotic as you would hope for. And given the fact that it is an SUV, I mean, I would imagine that people who want these cars are willing to sacrifice a little bit more than somebody who wants maybe like a Huracan. Because putting a V8 in a Huracan would kind of kill it just a little bit. Also, very impressive turning radius in this thing. I am surprised to see that. Now, this thing gets very squirmy. I mean, you gotta grab a hold of the steering wheel pretty tight and kind of fight with it. Actually, let's come to a stop so we can launch from here. But yeah, I mean, this thing is aggressive. And of course, with the Lamborghini, you want the drama. You don't want it to just be like, you know, flooring it and you're going in a straight line, but you're not scared. This thing, despite it weighing so much, having 4 doors, being an SUV, it'll still scare you enough. Yes, nowhere near as much as the Lamborghini Huracan. That thing, I could barely even bring that close to the red line. Speaking of which, the red line in this is 6,500 RPM, which is, of course, in large part due to the fact that it's not a naturally aspirated engine. But still, when you exceed 4,000, you get enough power, you get enough sound. It's just a step down from the Lamborghini Huracan, maybe 2 steps down in terms of how absurd and dramatic it is. But we're in an SUV here, okay? So I'm definitely gonna give it some lenience. I'm not like upset that it's not as insane as the Huracan. It shouldn't be. Those pops are unreal too, and we got a Dodge Charger behind us trying to race or something. You'll probably have a lot of that in the Urus. But I am really not trying to get another speeding ticket, so I think we just gotta relax a little bit here. Yeah, that is an exotic sounding V8. I've driven so many American V8s that I know the sound of it. But this one, I mean, it gives you a Lamborghini V8, well, an Audi V8, I guess, but it's still a German V8, so it's very, very different sounding from an American sports car. And that Scat Pack has his turn signal on, he's not turning it off. Average Scat Pack owner. I don't have good experiences with those cars. I got, yeah, fat speeding ticket in that thing. But this, I think the cop's gonna be too scared to pull me over. I'd be like, peasants. I do wish that the paddle shifters were a little bit bigger. They're like medium sized, but I just got done reviewing the Stelvio Quadrifoglio and the new Maserati Gran Turismo. The Alfa Romeo and Maserati make some of the best paddle shifters in my opinion. These ones are a bit more like solid, like they do click better. It's just not as satisfying to the touch. Man, one day I wish I could build my own car, because I would combine so many different features from a bunch of different cars. It'd be like a mix of everything. And you do get a nice little heads-up display up there with hexagons. If you guys know Lamborghini, you know hexagons are a Lamborghini thing. So it's funny to see that your RPM gauge in the heads-up display is just a bunch of hexagons. And overall, guys, the Lamborghini Urus, I mean, for $200,000, being an SUV space, I don't think it's entirely fair for me to jump on and start rating this car when we haven't reviewed like I would really want to do an X3M competition, an X5M competition. We already did the Trackhawk, and this thing feels more exotic than a Trackhawk by far, so I can certainly compare it to that car. Well, the Trackhawk's also $100,000 less, so if I had the money though, I would choose the Urus over the Trackhawk, 100%. More exotic sound. It's faster, way faster than the Trackhawk, despite the numbers claiming that the Trackhawk makes more power. That seems a bit weird to me. This definitely feels faster than the Trackhawk. So take that for what it is. And yeah, the sound of this is just, it's way more exotic than what a Trackhawk gives you. The real question is this actually worth the extra $100,000 over the RSQ8? Because it's really not that much different from the RSQ8, except it just looks like, and well, is a Lamborghini, if you want to call it that. It's an RSQ8, but it's also a Lamborghini because they put the badging on it. It's tough to say. I would really have to drive an RSQ8. I'm sure it's going to feel almost identical to this, but Lamborghini just does have that status. It makes you feel cool. You kind of are cool if you're driving one, and it stands out a lot more. This color, you know, not so much, but compared to an RSQ8, that car does look mean, but this one just holds and looks more valuable, and is more valuable. It's a bit too much more expensive, I feel like, for it to make total sense over an RSQ8. Just depends on how much a brand name means to you, but I'll stop talking about that until I actually drive an RSQ8. And I cannot believe how regular this thing feels if you're not going crazy. Let's actually throw it back over to Strata mode, and you get this nice subtle gauge cluster setup here. You don't even hear the exhaust. Yeah, no twin turbo V8 when it's on Strata mode. And everything is, yeah, very, oh wow. You could almost turn, yeah, you could turn the steering wheel with 2 fingers pretty easily. And it just gets a whole lot more soft. So this one has 21,000 miles on it. And as you'd expect, it feels pretty good. I hear some subtle squeaks in this thing, which is a little bit concerning because this is a $200,000 car, but it's not to the point where it's like really bad. Nice little Porsche 718 over there. And yeah, if you're driving this thing, you're probably going to be better. Well, I don't want to use the word better. You're going to have a more exotic and rarer car than probably every single car you see on the road while you drive this thing. That's another nice special touch. Second gear pull. That was 0.7 G's. Wow. It is insane. Oh, that you get a beautiful sounding pop from the exhaust when you upshift at high RPMs as well. Not a whole lot of drama when you downshift at low RPMs though. Yep, this is one of those cars that you could easily get your license revoked in. Oh my gosh. You have to relax in this thing. Oh my, that is seriously addicting. And when you just tap on the brakes, this thing comes to a halt very fast. You do not even have to really push on the brakes to get this thing stopping. Let's do a little brake test here. We got a speed bump here, so yep, that was probably 20% power on the brakes, and my phone flew forward, and this thing went from 30 to 10 in like 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds. I'm not gonna lie, when you're in public places, sometimes I don't like to have the most flashy thing, just like everybody staring at you the entire time. So honestly, this is where the color of this car is coming into play, and I'm kind of liking it. It's not too flexy or show-offy. Man, the turn radius on this thing is actually like ultra impressive. But we're gonna fill this thing up for the owner. Again, thank you so much to Greenlight Auto for giving us this Urus to review. Absolutely incredible car. And again, top 3 of the coolest cars we've ever been able to review on this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the Urus. And if there's something else you want me to review, I will do my best to get my hands on it. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.